Mysteries can be found wherever you look, especially when you're not sure what it is you're even looking for. My brush with the occult began on a quiet Sunday morning in the late 1980s in the living room of 207 Alaska Avenue in Whitesburg, Kentucky, where I grew up. 3-bedroom apartment, the Whitesburg Housing Projects, a neighborhood with cracked sidewalks that straddle that invisible boundary between the furthest reaches of Central Appalachia and Kentucky 15, the road out. As a restless 5-year-old, I fidgeted at a table as Flipper played on the television. Next door, my mother was helping our neighbor Gail move out of her apartment. Gail had been a victim of domestic abuse, and my mom was helping her get out before her abusive husband Jimmy had made it back in town. And I heard a loud commotion next door, like someone screaming after a bookshelf had broke. I walked over to see what the matter was, and I saw Gail picking up books that had fallen out of her closet. She looked up from the wreckage, and her face was swollen almost unrecognizably on the left side, and the bridge of her nose, I'll never forget this as long as I live, was being held together with scotch tape. She was afraid to go to the hospital. I walked over to help her with the books and scanned the titles, and so much that my reading comprehension at the time would allow. There was Stephen King's The Stand, and countless books about a variety of topics relating to arcane spirituality. Tarot, fortune-telling, tea leaf reading, whatever it was, you name it. She had something on it. And one book etched into my memory, the title of which I swear to God escapes me now, but it had a skeleton on it in a hood holding a scythe, kind of like the Hypnotized Minds logo. It had an hourglass in the other hand, and it was telling you how you could predict the hour of your own death. And I bent over to help Gail pick up the books, and my mom, who was very much not into the same literature that Gail was, forbid me to even touch those spooky books. "You never know what's on them," she said. "Garnet," Gail said. "It's just good fun." Still, my mom summoned me to go get some more boxes from our apartment. When I opened the door of the closet, a big jar of half-open Red Devil brand varnish with the devil holding a pitchfork right on the can greeted me. And for a kid steeped in Christian baggage, there were no two spookier closets in America. When I brought the box back, Gail gave me a hug and explained that her and Nikki, her daughter I would play with sometimes, were going away for a little bit, and we wouldn't hear anything from Gail for a while. Truth is, we didn't hear anything from Gail again until the weeks after 9/11 when she sent my mom a landscape painting she'd done, with the cryptic note attached. "Your house on the other side. I saw it in a dream. Hope you're well. G." "Little modest for heaven, don't you think?" I said to my mother. It was a little fishing cottage tucked into some mountains, a far cry from the gaudy streets of gold and walls of jasper mentioned in the scriptures. "I like it," my mom said. "I won't need much." "You ever talk to Gail?" I asked. My mom, staring introspectively at the card attached, looked up. "I bet I haven't seen her in 13 years. She called me once and left a message. I always worried about her and Nikki, but I think they found some peace. That's what I choose to believe, anyway." Good evening, ladies and ghouls, and welcome to the maiden voyage of Faces in the Corner. I'm one of several of those faces you'll meet along the way, Tom Sexton. My friends and I will be bringing you a veritable cornucopic buffet of body tales and spooky interviews with special guests that are going to attempt to ask and hopefully answer one central question. What scares you? Tonight's guest is a stand-up comedian and some would argue a stand-up guy. An actor and writer who's performed in 43 states, 4 countries, and even Texas, if you can believe it. He's appeared on shows such as Conan, Last Comic Standing, What the Fuck with Marc Maron, and voices characters on SquidBillies, and even once hosted a Morgan Spurlock documentary. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Billy Wayne Davis.
I lived in this fraternity. It was old as hell. Like, literally our pledge semester, it was condemned, I think, at the beginning of Rush. And somehow, however that stuff works, it was uncondemned when Rush started, some money, alumni, whatever. I realized real quick that it was cheaper to live in the fraternity house than it was in a dorm. So I moved in there as quick as I could, second semester. I lived there. It was a nightmare, just the grossest place. And I lived with athletes and stuff like that before, and they're disgusting, but there's like a decorum and stuff there that I don't know, that didn't exist in just party world and with rich kids. So it was disgusting. But in the summer, everyone would leave. And I was not a rich kid, so I would stick around, and I had a job, and I would take a couple classes, but it was like fun. And there's like 3 or 4 of us that lived in this giant house, and we had Bowling Green, Kentucky to ourselves. So it was like really fun. And where my room was on the middle level. There was like there was a basement. It's an old house. Rumor was like Civil War hospital was its first real use, you know, but I'd heard that in like a bunch of different houses across the South I've lived in. So it was just like, sure, probably some Civil War dudes died in there for sure. Was it a hospital? Who knows? I was on the third, I guess it would be the third where all the rooms were. And then we had what we called the penthouse room, which was the room everybody wanted. But there was like a way out. There was like these steep stairs and a little balcony all the way down that you could get out. People who lived up there and would party up there would go up those steep stairs, because if you wanted to party by yourself or if you were with a girl or something, as soon as you got to the living hall, somebody was tagging along. It was just cock block central is what it was. And so I was just sitting in that room playing, I think, Super Nintendo, because of my thing that summer was I worked at Outback Steakhouse. I'd make my money and I put it in the bank. But I would take $5 to $10 and stop and put gas in my Ford Ranger, get a 12-pack of Keystone Light, and you could do that. That's like a pretty good way to live. And then you could drink 12 Keystones and perfect drunk and then fall asleep. You weren't hungover. It was just water. It was awesome. And then I would just I would just do that and smoke cigarettes, because we weren't supposed to, but no other brothers were there. I would just smoke cigarettes and drink and see how fast I could beat Super Mario Brothers. That's what I did that summer. It was a pretty fun summer. That's what I really like to do. It was like 10 o'clock one night, and I thought I was like the only person in the house. But I was doing that, and I was playing, and then I hear what sounds like a ton of footsteps and everything upstairs. So I was like, oh shit, party or whatever. Because I was just at that right, like probably 5 or 6 beers in, where you're just like adrenaline up. And I was like, yeah, party, let's talk to girls, try to do stuff. And I ran up there, and like nobody was up there. Like no one. And I was like, that's so weird. So then I like poked my head. I was like, maybe they went back down the stairs or something. But I was like, it sounded like so many people where it just showed up. Anyway, maybe I missed them. I don't know. I was still kind of drunk or whatever. So I went back downstairs, and I started a new round. I was about halfway through. And I hadn't drank at all at that point, because I was like, I'm just going to wait. I was like, and then I heard it again. And it just sounded like this shit was like popping off. So I ran up there again. Nothing. That's when I got scared. That's when I was like, like what is happening? And I looked outside again, and then I stood outside on that balcony from the third story, which was beautiful. That's on the top of Cherry Hill. You could oversee most of Bowling Green. It was a cool spot. And I was like, I'm gonna smoke a cigarette up here, and I think probably had like a little bowl or whatever. I was like, if they're fucking with me, they'll come back up, or I'll just see what's happening. So just nothing. It's just quiet. Like literally everything's quiet in a way that was weird, but it was just like, Then I got kind of weird, and I went to closets. I looked underneath everybody's beds and shit. I was like, man, because fucking with everybody is what everyone's doing all the time. So then I went back down there, and at that point, I started playing again, and I was like, okay, I'll try to drink myself to sleep because I'm a little weirded out. And then I just hear doors shutting, which I know is like, okay. At this point, it hadn't occurred to me that this could be a ghost or anything. I'm still like, I was like, I don't know who's doing this, but I'm not even mad. I'm just impressed, and now I want to catch them because they're doing it at this level. It's like impressive. So I run outside. I run out and try to find who's in there, but no one is in. It's just me in this house. And I was like, okay. I was like, man, it's just an old house. But then I hear everybody upstairs again, and then the doors start shutting, and I'll never forget this. I just pushed power on the Nintendo and grabbed my cigarettes and keys and sprinted out of that house and sprinted down to a bar and just hung out at a bar until it closed. I didn't tell anybody probably for like 2 or 3 months either. Because I was like, no one's gonna. I was like, but then I think it was like around homecoming, alumni were coming in, and they were telling ghost stories, and I was like, I have one. That's when it really all, because I was like, that place is bad. That place is a bad place we live in. it's scary. And they knew I was by myself, and I think they knew that I was getting scared and they were fucking with me. But it's the only time I've ever been really scared of a ghost. There was a story about room 4 was the one that was supposed to be the most haunted. One night I was there. I don't know if I was by myself, but there's like just me and a couple other people in different rooms, kind of quiet. But I was watching a dude's boxer, his dog, and there was a story about there would be like people would see a Civil War soldier behind when they were like get ready, like one would pop up, and the joke, I remember somebody was like, what's like, which side? And I was like, what does it matter who the ghost was fighting for, you crazy son of a bitch? Somebody was like, Kentucky fought for the Union, seeing somebody in a Confederate flag, and it never occurred to them. They're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, man, it's fucking idiot. But that was, and one night I was there and the dog was real wigged the fuck out about that corner in a way that wouldn't stop looking. And I was like, yo, just chill. I was pretty tired. I think I'd worked a double, and I was just trying to drink and smoke cigarettes until I fell asleep. You know, that lifestyle, that server lifestyle. And I was like, I just acknowledged the ghost and was like, listen, whatever you are or whatever it is, I'm not going anywhere. I ain't trying to hurt you. Quit freaking this dog out. I'm trying to play Nintendo and fall asleep or whatever it was I was trying to do. And the dog kind of sat down when I did that. And I just like the vibe was different in the room, but the dog, there was something in there for sure. Like the whole energy changed, that kind of stuff. Like I lived in Seattle in our first apartment. We found out after we moved that the person before us had committed suicide there, but I knew there was a presence there the whole time. I was just really cool with it. And we would hang out while I was, cause we had a great view of Elliott Bay and very affordable apartment. So I just got really cool with this presence that I was very aware of. I was like, yeah, well, something's here. Whoever it is cool when I watch TV and smoke weed, so it doesn't scare me. And then we found out later after we moved, our neighbors like, we didn't want to tell you, but yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I knew that. And my ex-wife was like, what in the hell? Why didn't you say anything? I was like, because you make us move, and I love that apartment. And me and that ghost got along. We're cool. People think you're like, oh, you believe in ghosts? Or I guess so. Me and this presence hung out. That's for sure.
Me and my friend John, we used to live in a haunted house together.
True story.
I feel like we're two guys that aren't really prone to that. Like, it's not necessarily that I don't believe in ghosts or anything, but we're just not like...
It's not something I try to fuck with. Like, I don't go looking for ghosts.
Right. We're probably fairly skeptical guys, too. But I would say, like, definitively, I don't know what I believe in terms of, like, ghosts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I would fall on that same spectrum as far as what you believe, what you see.
I have not seen that much crazy shit in my life. Some stuff like has a perfectly rational explanation to it.
And like growing up in the country, like where we did, like, when it gets dark, you hear all kinds of crazy stuff, but everyone just always says, oh, don't worry about that. It's just the wind or whatever. So, that's how I was
settling.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But this house we lived in, I think about this house all the time. I still do. Like, I dream about this house sometimes. It's like stuff that happened there, but it happens kind of differently in my dreams.
I mean, it was kind of just weird. Like we were in a situation where we had to find a place to live pretty quickly. This house was right off campus, really, really old house. I'm guessing early 1900s. And so we get in this house and like we get one quick walk through. Like I remember I think it was Delta Gammas. Maybe they were moving out of the house whenever we were moving in. So we got like one quick walk through and said, yeah, we'll take it. We moved in the next week. What I hated about that house more than anything, still think about it today, is when we would have to do laundry and go down that damn basement.
The basement, man, is one of the creepiest things I've ever seen.
It's like I would put off doing laundry just because you had those rickety steps to get down to the basement, first of all, cold, damp. I don't think I ever went in that basement after dark one time that we lived there. Like I would do laundry as soon as I got off work at 5 o'clock, be all right, daylight, get down here and do this now.
The only time I ever did was when there was a storm one time and it knocked our power out for a little bit. Flip the breaker. Yeah, gotcha. That's it. And I hated every second of it.
God.
This house, was like all kinds of like little creepy things would happen from time to time in that house. It's one of those houses. I kind of call it the Midsummer effect, like that Midsummer movie where it's like everything happens in the daytime, but it's like super creepy. And maybe that even intensifies it. Like I was telling you earlier, I remember going up and soaking my ankles in y'all's bathtub. It's just midday, and then just all of a sudden, thud on the window. A bird flies into it and dies. So like as soon as I'm getting into that little like just groove of like I'm relaxing now in a nice hot bath. So all that to say, this house is just like old and just kind of creepy. And I would say nothing that was like too explicitly weird until that first summer we lived there.
Yeah, the summertime, like, the house was so close to campus. It was constant, like kind of an open door policy. Like there was people always in and out of the house. So I downplayed a lot of what would go on because I feel like there was constantly like a door that would open and shut, or in the kitchen, the cabinets would open and shut.
The cabinets would open. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, like all the time, but I just thought somebody was popping in to grab some pizza rolls or something. But that summer, Morehead thins out by population by half. Everybody leaves. So, we had our little crew that was around for summertime, and that was it. But that's when some of the more creepy things happened for sure.
The big one, and I'll tell you what happened to me this whole weekend, because that weekend was pretty insane for me. I would dispatch the fire department back home, and which that building is creepy in and of itself, the fire department in Whitesburg, because it's like this old feed house. And they've got this old school, like early 20th century service elevator that's got the ropes and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And like they used to do livestock sales and that side and everything. And there's like shit that's really old over on that side. And these like buildings that talk, like if you're just quiet, and this happens a lot of places, you could kind of, it's, maybe it's the house settling, or maybe it's like, just like your stomach growling or something. Like the house is just constantly like unsettled.
Yeah, just constantly making some type of sound.
I'm not exaggerating when I would say, and listen, again, fairly skeptical dude, but I would hear stuff on that warehouse side all the time. It was like I couldn't make out what they were saying, but it was like people were over there just talking all the time. So the night in question started on Friday night at the fire department in Whitesburg. I'm there, and there was this guy that used to work there. I won't say what his last name was. His name was Mike. And Mike was a different type of cat. He was very nice, extremely nice, but just a different type of cat. He was kind of into that like malicious stuff that eventually snowballed into the, kind of people that pulled off the January 6th thing, all that kind of stuff. So maybe this was like a harbinger of things to come. But that Friday night, I'll never forget, I dispatched at the fire department. A lot of times I would be by myself, but this night it was me and Mike and this guy, Ken. Ken was in his bunk. He was the full-time firefighter there. Mike was the guy that he was kind of like coming up and all that kind of stuff, trying to get his like firefighting hours. There was this firefighter, John, who took his own life. And there was always like that kind of, I don't want to play fast and loose with that because that's obviously like a serious topic. But there's always been like kind of a weird vibe over there. And they had like the little memorial to him set up in the back with the couch and TV. And then there was like the memorial to John. And then
Here was the fire chief's office right beside that, and then my little alcove where I would take the calls, you know. I brought my like little blow-up mattress. So I blow up the mattress in that little alcove, and I'd sit the phone right by my ear, so I would just like nap, and if I could clearly hear if a call came in, I would just, you know, hey, Whitesburg Fire Department, da-da-da-da. I had no more than fallen asleep. It's probably like 2 a.m. or something. Mike was back asleep on the couch. He had been watching a movie or something and kind of nodded off. Ken was in his bunk because all the full-time firefighters had their like little bunks there. I hear a grown man growling, like they're in pain almost. So I'm laying there, I got my eyes closed, and then I do this. What the fuck is that? I just opened my eyes. And it was one of the rare instances where I got so scared, I just like closed my eyes and like, you know, you did like the sheet over the head thing, you know? I was like, because it's audible, it's in the room with us.
Yeah, there's no running at this point.
I look up. And Mike is asleep, but he's awake and he's standing up and he's pacing back and forth in the fire department. And he's talking about Satan. He's talking about killing this guy, Perry, that worked there, who wasn't working that night, but he worked there. He's like, I'm going to kill that motherfucker. I'm going to like rip his guts out and like sacrifice him to like, and he started like talking in this like, you know, like if you've been to church, you know how people are like speaking tongues and stuff like that. Yeah. Kind of sounded a little bit like that, but not like holy. I'm laying there. I close my eyes. I'm playing possum because he's walking right up beside me and then walking back to in the back where he was laying, and he's just muttering this nonsense. I feel the little vibration on my leg.
Uh-huh.
I pull my phone out. And gets a text from Ken, who's asleep in the bunk. He said, what the fuck? I was like, dude, he's sleepwalking and muttering nonsense. But he's like saying some creepy shit, like about the devil and stuff. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Ken said, good luck. LOL. I said, get out here now. He said, fuck that. Well, eventually, Mike goes back there and he doesn't fall asleep on the couch. He just gets down in the floor and lays down in the floor and falls back asleep. After about probably 15 minutes of doing this like weird sleepwalking Satan worship thing.
Jesus.
At that point, I said, Ken, he's out here laying face down on the floor. And Ken said, LOL, and he comes out and it's like 3 a.m. He starts kicking Mike in the shoulder, like, get up, you sorry bastard. What's going on? And Mike is dead to the world, man. Like, could not get him up. That was all that happened, but it was creepy because it's the confluence of like over on the warehouse side, which is just a wall separating the fire department from the warehouse side. You would hear these people talking all the time that weren't there. That building talked.
Well, Mike damn sure talked.
Mike damn sure talked. But all the firefighters up there would be like, I hate working here by myself. And like, these are guys that go into burning buildings. And they're like, I hate working up here by myself because it's so fucking creepy up here at night. Fast forward the next night. After I'm shook up a little bit. I'm like, that was fucking weird. Like, I felt fear because I was like, is this guy possessed by the devil? Was my thought. I was like, and I'm thinking, there's scissors here. This motherfucker could try to come stab me, anything. The next night, I worked till midnight, and I was like, God, I'm still kind of creeped out. But I'm going to drive on to Moorhead because I don't want to like get up at like, I want to be able to sleep till 8:30 and go to class instead of having to get up at 5:30 and drive and then go to class. But I get back to the house about 3 a.m. and I look up. And I see, because your bedroom window faced the street.
Yep, on that left side.
I see, because I remember thinking, pulling in, fuck, I'm tired as hell. I just want to go to bed, and John's got a big bunch up here. Every light in that house was on, and there were people moving around in your bedroom. I was like, fuck, he's got a big bunch up there. I pull up. I went around to the back side facing the kitchen, but I didn't have my key and it was locked. So I came back around to the front side thinking maybe you would hear that a little easier because your room was on the front side. And I start beating on the door.
I hear the banging on the door. I'm passed out dead asleep. And everybody had left that weekend. I was home alone, actually. And that's why, that's the only time we ever locked the doors if I was there by myself, because usually people were in and out. I remember like it tripped me out so much. I kept a shotgun in my closet and I heard somebody beating on the door and I was like, what in the hell? Somebody's trying to break in here. So I answered the door to you and I've got my shotgun in my hand. And you were like, oh man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to wake you. I just saw you had people up in your room. That's where I was like, trying to come to. But I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I said, Dom, ain't been nobody here since Friday.
You looked at me, you said, I've been asleep since about 10 o'clock. Because when I came around to the backside, like the lights were off in the kitchen and stuff. Is he just got like, and I thought my next thought was, oh, he had like a girl up there or something and they just like had the lights off. And I was like, but I saw a scene happening. And I thought, am I losing? I thought I was losing my mind. I really did. I thought I had like, you've been up for a long period of time. You kind of hallucinate a little bit. You can see people walking on the side of the road that ain't really there if you're driving late at night. You have that thing. But I've never in my life saw a party going on and then get up there and there's nothing happening.
So, I mean, I can remember it too. Like, I can remember like I was skeptical of you saying this in the moment. Like, man, I just woke up. Nobody's there. I was like, yeah, I'm sure you might have saw something. Maybe as your headlights reflecting. But where it really got real for me, there'll be a couple more occurrences, like, with the shadows around the house, that kind of stuff. But the one that trips me out to think about it is we lived off campus and there was a small river. The water had backed up all the way to Main Street and had knocked out electricity. So we didn't have any power or anything at the house, pitch black, had, a bunch of guys with kind of candles around. We might have had one candle downstairs to light. But I remember like a couple guys that come over and were like playing cards downstairs to pass time. And I was like, guys, I still have to work in the morning. I'm going to go ahead and head up, get some sleep. And I remember rolling over and looking in my room and I just see somebody standing there. I'm like, man, get out of here. I'm trying to sleep. I thought it was one of the guys.
Brandon or somebody else.
Yeah, up there messing with me. And I can't shake it. So I finally turn around and it's gone. But I go back downstairs and our stairs are pretty loud. So I was like, how do you make get up here? So I'm like, guys, I got to work in the morning. Quit messing with me. And you all look at me like, what the hell, been playing cards. There's only 4 of us here. And I was like, well, one of y'all was just standing up in the room. I know, like, this isn't just some shadow. This is literally someone standing in my room in the middle of the night with no power. And like, there was no lights to cast a shadow. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have electricity in the house at the moment. As real as that was, I never felt like anybody was trying to hurt me in that house. Not one time. But they wanted to party. The spirits, like, people talk about, like, you've got to be, some people say they present themselves under different situations. Hell, it's like every damn day. Like, we hear doors open and close, or it was just like they were just
It became a joke at a certain point.
Yeah, like we just didn't think anything of it. It was just like a normal part of living in that house.
I had never experienced that type of thing. Like, I've been places where I get a bad vibe, or not even a bad vibe, but like a kind of a creeped out vibe or whatever. But I had never experienced stuff like that, like up close, that like made me question my sanity.
Multiple very vivid moments in that house. Something's not adding up. How many houses do we live in throughout college together? We rented, 7, 8 places?
Several of them. Nothing ever happened in the rest of them.
No, not a single thing.
You called me, I guess this a couple of summers ago, and you were shook.
So, seeing the stuff at the house we lived in, that was one thing. But this experience is totally different. We'd actually been on a family vacation. We've been at the beach, had a great time all week. Traveling back, and I was like, guys, I just don't know about driving all the way through. What do you all think about trying to find a house or a hotel? Everybody's kind of kicking it over. Everybody wants to get home, but everybody else is tired too. So I was like, guys, I don't know if I can make this drive. So unless one of you all want to drive a leg, I think we need to get a hotel or something. So everybody's like, all right, we'll start looking. Meredith gets on her phone. She finds a Airbnb in Birmingham. It looks awesome. I was like, oh, that'd be great. We'll spend a night there, get up, have an easy drive tomorrow morning. Pretty late. We get there and open the door, take a step in, and it is just one of the weirdest feelings, the weirdest smells, if that makes sense. Like, it really seemed like someone was going out the back door as we were going in the front door. I mean, so much so that the TV was on when we go into an Airbnb, which is pretty unusual. And it wasn't very clean.
The most generous reading of that is like somebody just that was cleaning the Airbnb just didn't show up and just left it.
So I was like, God, I'm just like, whatever. We just need 8 hours of sleep and get back on the road. So we get our luggage brought in, trying to get everybody situated, and everybody is like very uneasy. Like we're going upstairs trying to check out the bedrooms, and just everything just feels off. Like we're trying to joke and make the most of it. Like, all right, this will all be fine. You don't really hear anything. It's just the feeling is all this is, and it's not a good feeling at all. Like it's not good at all. We're there for 30, 45 minutes. Like I don't know if we can stay here, guys. It's something's not right.
Something's amiss, yeah.
And like, well, what are we gonna do? Like, it's 11:30 midnight now. Like we're not gonna be able to find anything else. Let's just go get a gas station. I'll get some Red Bulls. We'll get out of here. I'll drive it. I'll be careful. I mean, it was so bad, and I was exhausted. I mean, it was so bad. Like I was like, there's no way I'm going to get a wink of sleep in this house. Like something's off. Meredith is trying to like contact the homeowner to like see, did the cleaning people not show up? And she's not being responsive at all. We just can't figure anything out. Well, finally, my mother-in-law had actually looked and found there were 2 hotel rooms open at a hotel downtown. So we start packing our bags really quick. Again, nothing has really happened yet. It's just the creepiest feeling in this house of any place I've ever been. I pull the car back to the back. I tell Meredith, why don't you snap some pictures real fast just so we can show like how the house was kind of not as clean as it should be. That way when the homeowner does get with us, we can talk about maybe a partial refund or something. This just doesn't seem right.
Unacceptable, yeah.
All of a sudden, she starts running towards the car and say, let's get the fuck out of here. And she is white as a ghost. I was like, what the hell? She's like, she could just go. So I peel out of the driveway. I'm like, what the hell just happened? And she won't say a word. Like she just said, just drive. So we get a couple miles away, like, well out of the neighborhood and everything. And she goes, when I was by the backyard snapping pictures, I looked up at the window where our bedroom was, and there was a woman in the window staring at me. And she is just a nervous wreck about it. We're like, you got to be kidding me. We get to the hotel. We're like, let's come over here and talk about what we're going to say to the homeowner. Like, this is not okay. I was like, yeah, we'll just send her some of those pictures. We start scrolling through the pictures, and there it is. We all instantly go, what the fuck? You see this like skeleton face looking at the camera. It's just, you see it like so noticeable. And it's not, when I say skeleton, like it's a facial figure with 2 blank eye sockets and like a mouth. The homeowner finally calls us back. Meredith is, she just straight up like, I don't know what is going on with that house, but we saw someone in the house. And the woman immediately stops and goes, I'll go ahead and just send your money back. Just please don't leave a review. Like, I'm so glad that we didn't stay the night. I don't know if anything would have happened or not, but everybody talks about just getting those weird feelings. This was the weirdest feeling I've ever had about any environment or any type of house. Good old downtown historic Birmingham.
Well, you think of these places, man, like Birmingham, everybody talks about the South and the Southern Gothic aesthetic and all these things, but you're talking about places where like real human torture and misery was carried out over a long period of time. And then you're thinking about, you go to these places and it's like, even if there's no such thing as ghosts, even if all this stuff we're talking about is just like figments of our imagination, there is still that vibe that stays on a place.
That's it for tonight, folks. If you like what you've heard, hit the show notes for the pre-order link to our companion zine, which if you order one will be hitting your mailboxes very soon. Don't want a zine, but want to give us a love offering instead? Our Venmo and Cash App links are in the show notes as well. Faces in the Corner is brought to you by Boss Babies LLC and through the generous support of our sponsors and listeners like you. Faces in the Corner is produced by me, Tom Sexton, Matthew Carter, Levi Funk, and Daniel Pujol, with original music by Daniel Pujol. Thanks again for being with us, and remember, when you lay your head down tonight and you cut off all those lights, may the faces you see in the corner be ever in your corner. Sweet dreams.